past Friday, I went to see Dragonball Evolution with a few friends of mine, some of whom who had read through the source material, some of whom did not. I fall largely into the latter category, but I would like listeners to know that I have extensively sampled the series over my years of fandom and know the premise and much of the details, so don't call me out on it in the comments below. Having said all this is a terrible movie. However, and there is a however as with many of my reviews, I want to say that I had fun with this movie. Are those two statements in conflict? I would say that's not necessarily the case. Let's get a little more deeper into this. First off, the acting is abysmal. Watching the movie for less than 10 minutes will provide you with multiple examples of this. Justin Chatwin, the actor who plays Goku in the movie, is possibly one of the worst actors I've ever seen. He's insincere, unappealing, and weirdly enough seems to have some kind of disconnect between his emotions, as if he needs to stop and think about what he is about to portray, which leaves him with a blank stare on his face for a second or two before he manages to make the transition. It's a bizarre thing to watch, and he is easily the standout when it comes to bad acting. Marsters' Piccolo is decent and at least tries, even if he is only in the movie for a grand total of 15 minutes. Mai, Piccolo's partner in Galactic Crime, has even smaller roles, so it's hard to even evaluate her part. I don't think she actually even emotes in the movie. Even if that is your role, you could at least put your own spin on your actions the character takes. The actor who plays Yamcha brings us back to a comfortable level of cheesiness, though, with the single most ridiculous accent this reviewer has ever heard. It's the equivalent of listening to Oprah Winfrey's voice come out of Dwayne Johnson, The Rock for those not know, body. It just doesn't fit. Bulma and Chi-Chi, the other two main characters in the movie, are pointless to the narrative and boring cliches both. The only redeeming thing in this category is Chow Yun-Fat, who seems to be the only one in on the joke and plays the part so over the top that he actually manages to get it right. His portrayal of Master Roshi is idiotic, but oftentimes hilarious, and much what I imagine the character to be like in the series. Even still, one good supporting actor does not a movie make. Moving on to the story, we have a horrendous butchering of the original plotline, with much high school and happy coming-of-age story shoved into the holes left by the producers, metaphorically kamehamehaing Akira Toriyama's seminal shonen work. The search itself is not initiated until about 20 minutes into a less than 90-minute movie, and some of the major characters don't even make their appearance until more than halfway through. Told in a slapdash fashion, and not even entertaining in its own right. It doesn't get the original series right, and does not manage to even craft an entertaining, loose adaptation. Conflict with the main villain seems like an afterthought. A plot twist at the end comes virtually out of nowhere, and even if you're a fan of the series and don't know what to expect, it's just terrible. There's a romantic subplot that one could have missed if they blinked. Simply put, it's an embarrassment. As well, many plot points are often contradictory to the characters they craft, quote unquote. I say it's because I don't think they bothered beyond a rough outline before handing over to the actors and let them make the magic. And there are unintentional bits of hilarity that arise when obvious gaffes appear that somehow made it into the final cut. So in another category, the movie fails. Wow, he must have really enjoyed the action, effects, and music in this movie, because those are the only categories left for him to deride. And he said he had fun, right? Is that what you're thinking? Well, I hate to break it to you, but I thought those are pretty lousy as well. With only a $50 million budget for an action extravaganza like this, for a property like this, I knew the effects weren't going to be up to par. But some of the crap they throw at you in this movie is downright embarrassing. The mountains at the end of the movie look much more like cardboard, and I wasn't even surprised that they could actually fly right through them. It looked shoddy, and only one or two sets in the entire movie, being the innards of Piccolo's airship and the fighting arena, look even remotely convincing. The action as well never lets you forget you're watching Wire Fu, and Goku's signature move, once, at the end of the movie. And I'm spoiling that because I don't think this movie is good enough to even warrant saving the viewer the discovery of that. Besides, it's not much of a story spoiler. They pretty much make this clear within the first few minutes of the film. The music was tolerable, but not much more. The only standouts amongst the generic adventure tracks were the beginning narration music and the J-pop at the end, which, as if by some cruel twist of irony, is actually the perfect cap for a movie so blatantly disregarding of its roots. How the hell can I say I had fun then? Well, this movie has almost nothing going for it, but it has one very important thing. The crap factor. Yes, indeed. If you love bad movies or know ahead of time that this will be a bad movie, you will not be disappointed. This might seem like a small thing, but it is more often than not amusing because of how shoddily put together it is. And that is why I had fun, and also why I even recommend going to see it in theaters, because if you want a good laugh, then this is actually not a bad viewing experience. Granted, there are better bad movies to watch out there, but few of this particular flavor, and that is what counts. If you're not a fan of the series or fantasy movies, and like I said, bad movies, then this is not a movie for you. But if you, like me, have a spirit that can withstand this kind of stuff, then give it a go. It's terrible, sure, but I had a modicum of fun watching it fail.